Hello everyone, it's Wulzy, back with another in-depth review video as part of the My Thoughts On series. This is a pretty big episode because Ocular Miracle has been in the works for a long time, in the eyes of the community since early 2.1, especially with GaidenHertuny's monthly progress reports, which were very entertaining. This has drawn a lot of people into the level, and there is a lot of impressive decoration to maintain this interest. As expected from such a broad Megacollab showing off lots of different building styles, the level is very inconsistent in its quality. This is partly due to the fact that the level is a hybrid of design and art, actually featuring Rayanomi as one of the artists, but it's also due to the fact that some creators are clearly more talented than others. I'm impressed with the fact that the core style is pretty consistent all the way through, bar the glowy sections. The level feels like it strings together quite well, but this doesn't mean that every part is astounding. It definitely has its ups and downs, but overall it's still a pretty memorable level. So, what makes this level stand out to me? The designs are pretty interesting to look at for the most part, as every part is made with an interesting colour scheme that has differed between sections. There are lots of colourful parts that use very little white, but then there's also parts that use a lot of white and use a small colour range. This keeps the level feeling alive and fresh and prevents it from becoming stale, as there are often parts that change colour scheme mid-part, which can break up the design very effectively, especially in such a fast level that is moving through lots of decoration very quickly, and especially in a level that is almost entirely made up of the core style. The level has lots of intense pulses and movements that live up to the song because it's very dramatic. However, this isn't maintained all the way through, as there are some parts in the level, such as this one, where it's completely static. This part doesn't utilise its potential colour depth very well, and with some alterations could be made to look better by making the white less prevalent. This would allow the creator to emphasise certain details in the design, instead of having white patches throughout the entire part. I must say though, the prevalence of the white does actually link the design together quite well, as the following parts in the level also use it a lot. This makes the next few parts following the format cross over and overlap with each other quite nicely to make the transition smoother. This level actually uses colour and shades pretty well to create a nice atmosphere at appropriate times, which is seen in Metal Face's part. When the song feels upbeat and floaty, there are lots of bright sections to mirror this, and when the song is intense in the build-up, it uses murky colours alongside black. Black is a great shade to use to create atmosphere, as it can make a level feel gloomy, especially in contrast with the bright part that comes before it, to emphasise the change. At the end of Metal Phase's part, there was a black screen build-up, which does link in from his dark part, but I feel as if it could include a bright title or something to fill it, because the drop is very flashy with lots of fast movement flying at you, which could be eased in with some sort of bright transition to make the drop more in place and fitting. I can't help but notice that at the drop of the level, there is some rough movements that could include some better easing to make it more smooth and improve its flow. As I was saying earlier, the drop is broken up with some mid-part colour changes and some regular pulses of black to white, and it looks cool. However, this part transitions into a rainbow part that has no light spots, and this very much contrasts to the previous flashy part. If this part was just as flashy, it could get repetitive, so the next best thing to do is a blending overlay above the player and the level so that the level can be brightened, without having to recycle the same sort of pulses used in the previous part. The following part is more successful in using a wide colour range, as this is broken up with some black and white contrasts from the outlines to the blocks, and this idea could be incorporated into the part before to create better links in the level and improve consistency. My least favourite part in the level is this white ship section, due to the fact that there is so much detail in the block design that is unmatched on the outside in air decoration and in the ground spikes. I just feel like there's a great imbalance of decoration across the whole part, and there's also the fact that the structuring is very inconsistent, and there's an entire segment filled with just saws, which leaves a lot of awkward spaces in between that aren't filled, and it just looks ugly. There's just too much white visible on the screen at once due to the prevalence of the ground spikes, and the part feels uninspired because of it. The next part of the level looks fantastic, with lots of bright colours in contrast with the dark spots to create some nice bright highlights that create a good vibe and aesthetic. Multiple parts of the level have a wide colour range that brings the level together as a whole and fulfills the theme very well, because multiple parts are similar but also different in their design and structuring. The rest of the level is very well executed in my opinion, as there are lots of parts back to back with consistent pulses that make the drop very intense. The second part of the drop doesn't follow this but still fits in pretty well, as there are bright highlights in the design. There is an art part within the drop that fits in well, as the decoration follows the same format as the other parts in the drop, with similar colourful aesthetics. and it doesn't really get repetitive in my opinion due to the hybrid theming and good looking decoration overall. I think this level is quite impressive despite the fact that there are over 800,000 objects, but this could come with some issues running the level, which is essential for the level to actually be played. Also, the end art is quite rushed, and the level seems to cut off randomly, which is a shame, because the level could have been polished a lot more in order to include a clean end screen to end off well. I want to congratulate GaidenHertuny and the team of creators though, for making such a standout level over such a long period of time, as this level is pretty solid despite how old some of the parts look. Thank you for watching, it's been Wulzy, have a good day.